Well, welcome back. We have talked already about the first freedom of religion, freedom of conscience, soul freedom. And then we had a conversation after that about why that is so important. Because, in fact, our faith governs all that we do. Yes. Now, we'd like to segue, if we could, into another discussion that's related to the Hobby Lobby case, which has brought up the whole idea of freedom of religion, freedom of conscience again. And we'd like to talk today about leading, managing, owning enterprises in light of the fact that our faith governs all.
Right.
And you had some interesting thoughts on that.
Well, first of all, this is not just a business. And what they have argued profoundly to the court is this is a spiritual enterprise. We are not just in business. Now, it's a good business, but this is a spiritual and more. This is our, God is, just as he has called Jim Fernstall to be the president of CBMC, just as he may have called you to be the pastor of a certain church, he has called us, the Green family, and to be ministers. We don't just have an occupation. We have a vocation.
Yes,
we are called. And they are arguing before the Supreme Court that that's why they should be given some relief from this, what they think is an abomination. That they would support abortion or fund abortion in any way, because this is a spiritual enterprise.
Well, in our last segment, we were talking about this tension sometimes that we have in the marketplace we bring as a Christian, because we encounter people in our business that are not Christians, our customers, our vendors, our fellow employees. And so we have this tension sometimes, and it does seem to me that dealing with that tension is a critical way of dealing with how we're going to be a Christian in the marketplace. And we accept that kind of tension. And we talked last time also about the sacred-secular divide. And it seems to me that that is really central to this Hobby Lobby case, because the government wants to see Hobby Lobby as a profit-making, job-providing kind of enterprise in the marketplace. And the Greens are saying, well, yes, of course, it's all of those things, but the bigger overlay for us is that it's our call, it's our spiritual call, because we're Christians. And it's this idea we can't separate our faith from the business that God has given to us, that the success that we've had in this business, we can't separate those two things. That's tension. And they're feeling the tension in the court. And so the court is feeling the tension. And how are we going to resolve this? So this is a very real thing. And I even believe that the government wants to do the right thing here. The government is not necessarily saying, well, you have to do exactly what we want. Yes, of course, they're saying that. They want to win. But they understand the stakes here, and they want to try and understand this. You can tell when they talk about it and when they're quoted that there's tension around this whole case, because we have this tension in the marketplace.
And part of the problem is the realization that the reason Hobby Lobby is a good business could be that it is guided by spiritual and moral and philosophically good business practices and ideas. And we want to encourage that in our business, in our commercial world. In fact, it's very much pointed out is that without religious freedom, the marketplace cannot exist. Right. How could a business ever operate if you never knew whether your customer was going to pay you?
Yes, right.
And so there is a certain amount of trust required to make a business enterprise work. And if every businessman is a crook, there's no business. Commerce falls apart.
Yeah. You know, Stan, it dawns on me, just as we're talking here, that the government has an interest in not discouraging Christians to be Christians in the marketplace, because it makes them good citizens, it makes them good ethical business people who pay their bills, pay their taxes, and encourage others to do so.
That's right.
So I really think that this tension around this case is is something that my prayer is that God's going to use this to teach us some things. And we don't know how it's going to come out yet. It's very hard to tell when things go to the Supreme Court. But it is teaching us something, just following this case and talking about these different issues.
That's why we're having these issues.
Exactly.
Is because I think it's very vital for us to understand, like you said, let's as Christians understand our religious freedom and the great legacy that has.
So our vocation truly is a spiritual enterprise.
And that's why there is such a thing as CBMC, which says is that our business must be carried into the marketplace, because it is not only how we make a living, it's how we do God's purposes and how we live.
Well said. Well, you have heard our discussion on freedom of conscience, freedom of religion. We have talked about faith as governing all that we do, whether we're at home, whether we're in the marketplace, whether we're at church, wherever we are, faith governs all. And then you also heard us mention that the calling we have from God, our vocation in the marketplace, whatever God has called us to do, is always a spiritual enterprise for us as Christians. Can I make another challenge to you right now? Go back and review the video, maybe more than once, and think deeply about this topic for a minute, because this really is a very, very important topic for CBMC leaders and CBMC members all over the world. And then can I challenge you with this? Once you've reviewed it, think about how you can use this in your CBMC team right in your country, and how you could get a discussion about this going, and because I think it would be very, very valuable if you could do that. So I leave you with that challenge, and I look forward to speaking with you again soon. So God bless you, and thank you for tuning in.